And let's just talk about your numbers. We should have done at the start, but you said how many inquiries you get a year, but what's your sort of conversion rate sitting at the moment, and how many Z's actually overall in general do you have?
I think I've got 77 at the moment. I think I started, I don't know, a few years ago with 43 or something like that. I'm growing at about 10%, anywhere between 8, 10, 12% year on year.
Fantastic.
Yeah, converting anywhere between 5 to 12% on a year basis, but I don't know what's different because they get the same process. So
yeah, and I just want to make clear everyone to watch this back again for your process, because it's a great process. It touches so many, the 4 initial bases, which I think is great. The email, the SMS, the phone call, plus the physical letter to the house, and you keep engaging with them all the way through, and away you go. And the people who come at the end of your little 7-day funnel are really, really high quality prospects. And everyone's saying, oh, I'm getting dud leads or tire kickers or whatever, but you have a process in place so that you can really maximize your time. But you're not avoiding the ones who are inquiring. You're still putting them all in the same process. You're just hoping to spit at the end of the 7 days a bit higher quality, or the person who's actually fair dinkum about buying the business.
Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely.
Now, what's your sales pipeline in general look like? Do you have, like, what's the average time? Like, is it 3 months between an inquiry to someone coming on board, or is it, how do you have your pipeline sort of worked out? Is there something visual on the board you have behind you with prospects at different stages, or how's it look for you?
Yeah, so upstairs it'd be there's a couple of whiteboards. So there's one that's got, these are the people that I'm going, they're warm to hot. Plus along with the commitments, and on that there'll be, we've been through the thing, they've come into the office, we've sat down, we've talked, and at that point it's, do you want me to organise a discovery day out in the field? And once they sort of get to that point, it's like, okay, they're fairly keen. From inquiry to start, last time I worked it out, on average for the new inquiries, I think it was around the 65-day mark. It took a couple of months. Some people want fast track, some people want to slow it down. It just depends on their, what they're doing, whether they're leaving a job and that type of stuff. And then there's the backlist ones that, can be, I might have been talking to them for 3 years. So
wow. So during that, let's say the average period you've worked out 65 days, how does that sort of look? Like, do you give them a bit of a prompt every week, or you sort of say, we need to do this, or how do you sort of get them through that process to the end of the 65 days?
I've got Chris has got the 17 steps. So I've taken that and broken it up a bit. So I've got the initial 10 steps, and then once they've got past that, so that's, about the training, the ABN, the finance, all that type of stuff, booking the trial day, all that type of stuff. And then it's the second process is about, these are the steps to start the business. So that starts getting into, there's training sheets, there's equipment sheets, there's chemical sheets, there's uniform sheets that they need to fill and engage. But at the same time, when they're in that loop, they're pushing. I'm always a believer, if I'm driving the car, their headspace isn't right. They need to be going, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? Because they want to have to buy a business. You shouldn't be having to force them to buy a business. So it's very much about them driving the process, but they've got all the information there. And then I've got the forms that I'm collecting all the information on, and ordering the trailers in advance and the equipment and all that type of stuff.
Now, you've got an office set up. Did you initially, when you first started, go go to people's homes and stuff like that, or did you always have the office set up for you as a franchisor?
No. I initially I worked out of home, and the meetings were conducted at a coffee shop or their place or something like that. And we were in my corporate days. I was fortunate to have a pretty good super fund, which is all in self-managed. So we had an opportunity to buy the office and then rent it back to the business through our superannuation. So I always had a vision of I want a professional environment for people to come, and first impressions, they walk into my office and I could spin the computer around and I'm looking around. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mowers in here that are demo mowers. There's whippersnippers, there's hedges, there's dethatchers, there's all sorts of stuff in here in terms of, a lot of this equipment is demo equipment, so franchisees can try before they buy, and just give the people when they come in, the ability to touch and feel and whatever. We'll grab one of a lot of people have never used a self-propelled mower, and I'll take the Toro out the front and I'll start it up and I'll put it on speed 3 and watch them do a face plant because it's so quick. But have a bit of fun with it,
Yeah. Well, how do you deal with the partner in the relationship or the main influencer? So we did a survey a while ago and we were saying a lot of the times it's, as we would all know, as the main influencer, they go away. What do you think? Can we get the equity, or what do you think of it? There's always a person who's, even though you provided all the information and you know the exact details, there's always an outside influence from somewhere, whether it be the wife or a mate or be an accountant or something. So how do you deal with that sort of outsider person?
Well, the main one is the main sales prevention manager is the wife. And that's where we do whatever we can to make sure they bring the wife in with them. A couple of the testimonials that go out in the hard mail are actually from wives. So it's
smart.
It's there's some written stuff there about this is what my husband now does. And that normally gets there. And if the wife comes in, you focus on the wife and what her concerns are. And the wife is typically, I think Chris said it the other day, she's going, I don't believe in him. I'm going to be buying myself a job because I'm going to have to do all the paperwork, all that type of thing. And that's where it's important, things like Jim's jobs, show them how easy it is to do, so that they're going, it doesn't have to be as hard. And that's where it's important to get that information out to them via the emails and all that, so they can actually see it. And, the husband can go, here, look at this. Look how easy this software is to use.
I thought that's a very interesting finding from Chris last week, and you've just reiterated it then, that they just thought that they didn't have the confidence in their partner to run a business. They're like, I don't want to do all this extra bookwork, and having material to say that's not what's going to happen really early on in the process is actually really great.
Yeah.
I think we have to do some more video on our end, try and find that on our side as well internally, if we can get some wives of franchisees to do some content around about that, saying, I thought I was buying another job for myself, but it's not, it's been great. So that's a really good idea and finding from that. Now, in regards to your entire funnel setup, like just trying to see, like, if a franchisor, you've obviously got a really high level background with your tech and with your background in marketing and stuff, and you put that together. What advice would you have for a franchisor who's maybe not as confident? Like, what are some things they can take action themselves, or what should they outsource, or what advice would you have for them?
My advice would be, don't think of it like you're trying to sell a business. Sit on the other side of it and talk to your franchisees and just ask them the question, okay, so we gave you a whole heap of stuff when you were looking to buy a business. What were the key things that in that information was there that actually resonated with you? And also ask them the question, was there anything we didn't give you that we probably should have? And from that, again, write it all out in a notepad or on sticky pads and get it into some sort of order. And then, spend time working on your business, not in your business, and automate as much as you can so that you don't have to think about it.
Because there's two camps. You have the full-time franchisor like yourself and Chris, and then you have the ones who are on the tools and half in between as well. So
Yeah.
I think they need investing a bit of time to set that up and all those systems in place to sort of help them as well. If they're not confident, I would say, you speak that's for other franchisors, or if they've got relationships with them, or maybe a digital marketing company or something they use to set some of these things up. But I think what you said about getting data from your own franchisees, what worked, what done for you, and then create material or content or adjust whatever you do around that's a very great point. I've actually written that down for myself there. Now, I've got a couple of more questions for you here as well. What about younger people? So Chris mentioned something to me last week as a tip, which is give younger people a go if you think they're really, really up for it. Do you have younger franchisees, or how does that work for under 30s, for example?
Yeah, I would have started Philip, Lachlan, Sam. I'd have 3 under 25. Yeah.
And how do they go?
Yeah, great. So, from their perspective, they're never going to earn as much money doing anything else as what they can earn mowing lawns.
Very true. Yep.
They've got to have the right personality though, and you got to talk to them about, the different generations that they're going to deal with. And, if they're dealing with, the over 70s, they, you got to show respect. And they've got to understand all the different, Gen Y, Gen X, and all that type of stuff in terms of how you deal with them. But they're bright, they're bubbly, they're enthusiastic, and they're willing to have a go.
And what are the things you look for when you talk to them to sort of get that out of them? I know you had that, can I have a beer if that person was sort of, let's say the Paul King beer test will say that with the prospect. Yeah. But what's the sort of thing that indicates to you that young person, I believe in him? Is it just a general chit-chat conversation? Is it certain things they say, or what are you looking for?
General chit-chat. It's also, when you're talking to them about their work history, if they're talking about, they're 24 and they've had, 12 jobs since they've left school, well, a bit of a flag would go up there because, they haven't worked out in life what they want to do. You come across the young guys that have got their head in the game, they're switched on, and they get what running a business is about. It's not a job. So they're talking about, customer relationships. They're talking about, I want to, create a future for myself. I want to be my own boss, all that type of stuff.
And what about the financing with the younger people, or just in general? How do you deal with that sort of issue in your process?
So I've adapted the vendor finance options that are available, and I will vendor finance most things until I have to put my hand in my pocket. If I've got to, if I've got to pay $1,000 for a safety pack from Lod, I'm not going to vendor finance that. I'm happy to put at risk the money that's owed to me, but I'm not happy to put at risk if I've had to put my hand in the pocket and pay someone else. So they've got to have a little bit of skin in the game, and then it's just another set of fees, net fees that are coming through each month for you. It's nice little pocket money.
I can imagine. Now, I was going to talk now about, do you ask your guys for referrals? Do you actively push for referrals within your group?
Yes and no. depends on who it is and that. If anything, the new guys that are more enthusiastic about things, that don't have any baggage tied up of within the gyms group, and they're normally a good source. People that have been in it a long time, depending on how they're going with the complaint system,
Yeah.
they tend to be a little bit funny about things.
Okay, yeah, I can imagine. I've heard it a few times before.
Oh,
We get it every week. Everyone asks Jim and stuff like that. Now, in
yeah.
regards to your time management yourself as a full-time franchisor, how much do you estimate a week do you spend dealing with inquiries or your whole process in regards to the franchise inquiries?
Well, I'm in my business full time, and most days I'm in the office between 7 and 7:30, and I'm probably here most days till, I don't know, 3 o'clock, and I'll go home and I'll do more work. So, the inquiry process. I mean, this week I've had, what have I had? 3 interviews. I think I've got another one tomorrow. Good question. I'm probably spending, by the time I'm, doing all the background stuff and making other calls and all that, there's probably a good day and a half just on the inquiry side of thing. Just looking at the emails I'm going to send a backlist and following up inquiries and that type of stuff. Now, if I look at my
And what
diary
yeah.
at the moment,
Oh, sorry, you go.
there'd probably be 25 active inquiries still in it.
Wow. So with the process now, I want to talk about splits as well. How much do your guys know about doing splits, and how is that something as well you push for your canvas, or you mention that regularly at meetings, or how does that sort of come into your inquiry picture with
So
that?
80% of the businesses I sell would be either a mini split or a full split. So I don't sell many vacants at all. I think I've only sold, or out of 100 odd sales, I've probably only sold 4 or 5 vacants.
Okay.
There's the majority of them are splits or mini splits. So, with the mini splits and the splits, I give a franchisee 10% off their net fees. Sorry, off their base franchise fee less the compliance discount. So it works out about $62 or $63 a month off their fees for life, providing the guy that brought the split off him stays within the business. So it creates a bit of a mentor program as well, because it's in his best
Well, he
interest
wants him to do well. Yeah.
to stay. And the way
Very smart.
I figure it, I go, out of a franchisee, we net, I don't know, about $307 a month net, after GST and after the fees. So I go, if I can take that $308 and double that, I'm happy to give back, 60 odd dollars. I'm 240 odd in front. So, and, for a new person coming in, they are far more successful, even if they're only starting with a mini split, which is about $1,000 worth of clients, than starting from scratch, because, we're asking them to hand over $20,000 to buy a business. Yes, I make less money, and yes, I could have made a fortune if I was selling vacants, but you want your franchisees to be successful. So from day one, they've got something to do, even if it's only 20 odd clients, rather than sitting there on day one, just forked out all this money, and now they want me to go stick flyers in letterboxes and knock on doors. They've got calls, they've got some leads coming in, plus we're getting them to do the letterbox drop each week.
Now, that's something unique really to you that you do that you know of, or do you have no other franchisors doing something similar to you in that regard? Or
Um, I I don't know if
that's
anyone.
the first time I've heard it, so it's
Oh,
very very unique, I think.
yeah, I'd have probably 25 franchisees getting discounted fees each month. So, and some guys are getting 2 or 3 lots of discounted fees because each time they do a split, I give them another 10%. So,
So
you
it's a great incentive. I've never heard. That's why I've asked if it's something never people know, because I reckon it's something people should give a go at. And as you said, it's in those guys' best interest to make sure the new person succeeds. So they're going to be an extra support person to help you.
yeah. Otherwise, it costs them $700 a year. So,
Yeah, that's true, and it's a really great approach. Now I want to get back to motivation. So
yep,
one thing that I think, from my opinion, looking at an outside of your franchisors, we expect sometimes everyone to be always going like this, which is not realistic for most people. So how do you manage your maintain your own motivation? Because obviously there's going to be waves in terms of just in general, like myself included. There's some days when I might not be as motivated as others. So how do you manage that in your process?
you're always going to get the odd day where you just go, you know what, I'm going to go play golf, or I'm going to go fish, or I'm just going to do whatever. But at the end of the day, we've got a unique business model. The way I look at it, every franchisee I put on is another $4,000 a year net that goes into my pocket. Okay, and we're a bit like a franchisee. We say to our franchisees, you can earn as much money as you want. You can put on staff, you can do this, you can do that. As a franchisor, I simply look at it and go, okay, well, whilst I'm mindful that I don't put too many on into certain areas at certain times because I want to make sure they're successful. I've got a canvas where, when I first looked at it, I had 43 and I went, okay, after 10 years, if I get to 80, I've done well. I'm at that point after 7 years. So I'm now going, okay, I should be at about 100 after year 10. And then realistically, my region will probably cap out at about 120, 130 franchisees. So I still look at it and go, I still got a long way to go, but like I said, I've got a sales background. So, in my DNA, it's about growing. It's not about, we live by the philosophy, you're as good as your last result. So for me, it's about going forward. If I lose a franchisee, I'm gutted. I'll do whatever I can to get that business sold so I don't lose a number. Uh,
And
yeah.
in regards to that's touched on the next thing I was going to ask about resales and stuff like that. How do you handle resales? Do you have like a standard advertising pack you do that's a bit different to your standard one? Do you go to Seek, or what do you do with that with splits and
Um,
resales?
so with any of the advertising, with Facebook, you can limit the areas. So you do targeted stuff, and you may be talking about, franchise business available in Swansea. So you start talking specific areas, and then you'll run a separate ad just for that. But whenever anyone comes in, or if they're going to my website, they can see the full suite of what is for sale,
Mm.
not just that one business.
Mm. And so you're saying you predominantly use Facebook for the advertisement of resales?
Yeah, played around with some Gumtree and a couple of the other things. Played around with local papers. Just not a lot of traction. Gumtree, you get more tire kickers than you can poke a stick at, in
I
my
can imagine.
opinion.
I can imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah, how much? It's the first question. How much?
Mm.
It's like, okay,
And they'll probably get you to drop 10K off it and be angry when you don't do it.
yeah.